we'd like to welcome Kathryn Edin here today to talk to us a little bit about a book that she's just written. And if you'd like to tell us a little bit about the book and why you chose that research topic, and
okay.
just give us.
So I spent the early part of my career studying low-income single mothers, and I wrote one book about how low-income single mothers make ends meet and why it is that so many at the time were spending so much of their adult lives on welfare. Then I moved to studying why low-income single mothers put motherhood before marriage, and people kept saying, well, what about the men? You've got to study the men. And I said, well, I don't want to talk to the men. I hear what the women say about the men, and they sound terrible. I don't want to do that. But finally, my research colleague, who is also my husband of 26 years, and I were convinced to do this. So we moved our two small daughters to, what could be thought of, I guess, as the epicenter of early and unplanned childbearing, Camden, New Jersey. And over the next 7 years in both Camden and Philadelphia, we collected the stories over many, many months and sometimes years of 110 low-income dads, both black, both white, living in neighborhoods of concentrated poverty, to really understand the portrait of urban family life from their point of view. So that's the goal of the book, is to almost provide a window in to this unstudied corner of American life. We study single moms all the time, but very few people talk to dads. And when they do, they don't ask them about parenting.
Great. What ideas and conversations do you hope your book sparks? With the general public, with legislators, with nonprofits?
Well, I think oftentimes we say, gee, the best place to intervene is with the mother and the child, because we think if we can intervene with the child, we can sort of short-circuit the intergenerational transmission of poverty. Two problems with that approach. First, half of these kids are boys, and the boys are going to turn out to be men. And second, it's as important for the children to have their fathers in their lives as it is for the fathers to have the children in their lives. We've got men in society, especially low-income men, who are really unmoored from social institutions. They're unmoored from the world of work, due partly to the economy and partly to the fact that their skills are at a mismatch with what labor demands, and they have incarceration histories. They're unmoored from civic institutions. They're unmoored from the family. And if we can get them connected to their kids and their kids' moms in meaningful ways, which, by the way, is what both they and the moms want, right? We can bring them into the American fabric in a way that'll benefit everybody. Sometimes we say, well, are the kids really going to benefit? But what we forget is how much the fathers could benefit from the structure, frankly, of the family and the meaningful relationships. I think the most surprising part of the book, though, Katie, is how much these men want to be dads. Not the status, but the role. They want to be a dad. They want to observe the first steps, right? And then the first words. And they want to be their kids' moral guide. And they want their kids to come to them with problems. It's really touching. We've thought of these guys as paychecks and not as parents. Now, frankly, they don't have a whole lot to offer in the paycheck domain. We know what's happened to the wages of unskilled men since the 1970s. It's not a pretty picture, but they have a lot of things to contribute to their kids, and that's what they want to do. And I think we need to really rethink how we can provide opportunities for them to be both parents and paychecks, because no one can substitute for a dad, right?
Great. What could state legislatures take from your book in order to inform state policy decisions?
Well, there's so much states could do, and by the way, are doing. In some ways, I think we need a data collection effort to get all the good ideas that are happening in states and locales, both in the government, for legislators and nonprofits like the organization Joe Jones runs. But I think fundamentally, we've had a very piecemeal approach to these fathers, because all of our institutions are really organized around the mother and the child. Now that's good. The moms and the kids need the support, and the kids are generally living for most of the time with the moms. But I think what states can do is to change the paradigm, right? So when we think of families at the bottom, we think of single mother families, but in reality, these families all have men in them. These kids all have fathers. There are, as far as I know, no immaculate conceptions going on at the moment. So we need to rethink the whole category, single parent, and start thinking fragile family instead. How can we support this young couple, whether they stay together or not? They're going to be co-parents forever, right? How can we come alongside of this couple who may not have had this kid in the best of circumstances? They may not even know each other very well. But, you know, at the time of the birth, we know, surveys tell us that men and women are overwhelmingly committed to being there for their kids. So how can we, as policymakers, come, and nonprofits and churches and community members, come alongside and say, how can, you know, in these difficult economic times, how can we help you do more of what you want to do, which is to be good partners and good parents to your kids.
Great, thank you so much.
All right.